Everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Listen, I am, as you can see, close to water, beach. It's amazing. The sun is setting, so I have to be really quick because I want to have the sun while I'm talking about this. I just got this while I was traveling here at the duty free, and I haven't unboxed it yet, so we're going to unbox it together. And of course, Chanel Egoiste, one of the loves of my life, and you know, also kind of the follow-up to Bois des Îles. So Bois des Îles and Egoiste are the two counterparts, the brother and the sister, the mother and the son, the daughter and the grandmother. I mean, you whatever gender you want to give it. But we're going to unbox the new current batch, which is relatively fresh. This is a 7902 batch code. So it is very, very new. I'm really curious to see how much they've toned this one down or not. And of course, we got our Bois des Îles to compare it with. And of course, I also have my old school Egoiste with the wooden imitation looking, you know, stopper as well that I have a memory of. I didn't take it with me on this journey, but I really wanted to have for my archives the current version of Egoiste. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You can also follow me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together there for extra perks. In fact, this video is being filmed live in front of my Tier 2 patrons and Tier 2 YouTube members from the main Super Dacob channel. So you can go follow me there, join me, and then be a part of the live filming of these videos, including seeing them way before they hit my channel. So are you excited for this? I'm so excited to open it. It's 100 ml. It's super hard to find. You know, Egoiste is not easy to find nowadays. It's been discontinued in most countries. A lot of countries don't sell it anymore at all. You can still find Egoiste Platinum, but you know, when I do a Chanel unboxing, it's a special occasion because Chanel perfumes and die, you know. So I've never unboxed the Egoiste Eau de Toilette current formula before. So it is a special occasion for my standards and for my channel. And as the sun is setting, let's get to it. And then we're going to sniff it. And we're going to enjoy it. And I hope it's not as watered down as a lot of people say it is. A lot of people have been criticizing the current version of Egoiste, saying that it's not as powerful as it used to be in the 90s when it was first released. Here goes, y'all. By the way, the double C logo is protruding, as is the whole Egoiste name here, and the Pour Monsieur as well. So there is a kind of beautiful quality to it. And the little lacquered glossy box, so delicious, the black and white. Now, here it is, with the black, I want to say cardboard inside. It has a different name though. But anyway, I still wish that the stopper had the wood etched into it. It wasn't real wood in the past, but it was just like, it was black like now, but it just had a wooden texture, right? So now it has a clear mattified texture. And it's plastic, but it feels cold to the touch. I wonder if it has a metal coating. You can hear it. It's a resin. It's a plasticky material with a double C on top. There's no double C inside though. And then we have the black sprayer here. Batch code, I repeat, 7902. One little close-up of the bottle. Isn't it gorgeous? This is the shape of the bottle that Egoiste used to have for the Splash version when it was first released in the 90s. So the Splash version of Egoiste would have the wooden textured stopper that would be a little bit smaller than the bottle, and you would unscrew it, right? So this was the Splash bottle. The spray bottle had the stopper same length as the bottle, and everything was a little bit more elongated. So Chanel kind of changed the whole structure a couple of years back, and they have given the spray bottle the Splash bottle design, minus the wooden texture, just so that you guys know. Because you might see this shape bottle from the past and think to yourself, wait, hold on a minute. Is this authentic, not authentic? No, it's just that that used to be the Splash bottle. I'm so excited. Okay, let's spray it. Oh, you know what? Let me take off my It's not costume jewelry, it's real jewelry, but still, I don't want to spray my bracelet with perfume. Okay. Interesting. It bites a little. Clove comes through, cinnamony accord. We know sandalwood. We're going to get to the sandalwood, but it's smokier. It has a smokier accord. I mean, it's a bit acidic in the opening. I do have here somewhere the exact ingredient list. You know what? It's not weak. I know some people say, oh, it's much weaker than it used to be. This is not weak at all. And I have a very fresh batch, so mine still needs, some oxygen to kick in. Listen, the 90s formula of Egoiste is very holiday season, very from Thanksgiving to Christmas type of period. Very, sit around a warm fireplace and drink some eggnog type of vibe. The cinnamon, okay, so basically we open up with Brazilian rosewood, coriander, mahogany, Sicilian mandarin, mid-notes, cinnamon, damask rose, carnation. Base notes, sandalwood, tobacco, vanilla, leather, amber, ambrette, muskmallow. So a beautiful combination of ingredients, incredible ingredients. And they're all dosed very delicately and elegantly, right? This stuff is gorgeous. It's more leathery than, interesting. It's more smoky and leathery than the older version that I have, from the 90s, early 2000s. I've repurchased Egoiste many times throughout the years. And I even used to purchase Egoiste when they used to do soaps. Remember when Chanel did amazing soaps for every perfume? Egoiste also had a soap, and I had the soap. It was amazing. This thing is earthy. It is a little bit more moist. The old Egoiste is a drier perfume. Now it's a little bit more moist. I want to say almost like as if the tobacco in here was not like a dried out tobacco leaf, but more like ground tobacco that is used for a pipe. And then it kind of, when you buy it, it has that particular wet smell, almost like tobacco meets patchouli a little bit. It is beautiful. I have the feeling the current formulation is really nice. I don't know why people are complaining about it so much. It's a bit sharper than it used to be, maybe it's a tad bit more synthetic. The OG Egoiste was also synthetic. Truth be told, I mean, before Egoiste was Egoiste, it was Au Noir, Bois Noir, sorry, Au Noir. Au Noir is Dior. Bois Noir was Egoiste before it was Egoiste. So basically, we first have Bois des Îles, released in the 20s, 1926. And then in the 80s, somewhere in the mid 80s, the Wertheimer family started talking to Jacques Polge saying, hey, we want a male version of Bois des Îles because we really love to wear it. Perfumes know no gender, so whatever. But so Jacques then delivered a kind of a Bois des Îles targeted for the male audience, called it Bois Noir. And it was only released in the Chanel boutiques for a couple of years, did relatively well, only released in Europe. And then they took it off the market. By the way, Bois Noir, black woods. Now you know why. Where's the bottle? Now you know why the stopper was a black wood stopper. Not made out of wood, I wish. But it had the wood design etched into it. Now you know why Egoiste originally had the wood, because it was originally Bois Noir. But now they took away the wood because it took them decades. But they're like, well, hold on. It's not Bois Noir anymore. It's Egoiste, so might as well make it flat. It's probably also cheaper for them. But So Bois Noir did relatively good in Europe, and then they took it off the market and relaunched it majorly worldwide as Egoiste. Did really well in Europe, did really bad in America. Then they had to rethink quickly and create a flanker, a fougère flanker, which is Egoiste Platinum. Platinum did amazingly well in America. It's still to this day selling really well in the States. And Egoiste has been discontinued in most countries. So, but of course, France still has it. And if you travel or fly through Europe, you will find it in some duty-free stores. So I was really lucky to hunt this one down. And it's become kind of like a rarity a little bit, you know. Now, is it tamer than it used to be? Hell yeah. It's much softer than it used to be. I think they're struggling. I think they're trying to make it appeal to as many people as possible worldwide to like it. So they might be toning down what made Egoiste so unique. And what made Egoiste so unique? Well, the fact that even though it was targeted to a male audience, it was a very delicate scent from the get-go. You know, it was groundbreaking for the time. 1990/1991 was the release date of Egoiste, because it's a rosy, cinnamony, woodsy, delicate wood accord with a lot of sandalwood that back in the day, you know, gave you Samsara vibes. And Samsara was targeted, Guerlain's Samsara was targeted to women. So it was very risky to launch a cinnamon-heavy, a sandalwood-heavy, cinnamon-heavy, clove, carnation-heavy perfume for men. Just a couple of years before this, Chanel releases Coco. And Coco, Jacques Polge, the perfumer, is also very heavy on cinnamon and clove. Oh, clove, not cinnamon, but clove. So this is kind of like the answer to Coco for men, you know? Heavy on the carnation, heavy on the cinnamon, though, clove type of smell as well, with woods and spices added, but delicate. So a lot of men back in the day were probably quite confused because this was targeted to men, but they were used to wearing their Obsession for men, Giorgio Beverly Hills for men, Elizabeth Taylor's Passion for men, Aramis, what else is there? Fahrenheit for men. I mean, it's a particular type of smell that came out in the second half of the 80s for male fragrances, and this was none of that. None of that. So this one was very misunderstood in a very aggressive smelling, dominated male perfume market in America. Europe was a little bit more ready to accept Egoiste because Europe was a bit more flamboyant, especially in France or in Paris. Men were not all pushing for that extreme macho look. A lot of men were also very softer, more rounded in the way that they would dress, in the way that they would talk. The French language alone is a much softer, more sensual way of speaking than, let's say, English. And especially English with certain accents, you know, certain accents in America, like, yeehaw, you know, all the ranch, come on, let's try some Egoiste, all the ranch, you know, like just a certain type of sophistication and elegance doesn't fit with certain dialects or accents, for sure. Like, I get it. And I'm not throwing shade at it. I mean, it's funny to me, but I mean, I respect it a lot. By the way, Texas, no shade to you. Everything's bigger in Texas, they say. So another prominent note that's popping out now as it evolves on the skin is like a green accord, which I don't sense out in the OG. Oh my God, it's so beautiful though. So I do this trick that I often do in the Drydown of perfume. So when you spray a perfume, and I've said this in other videos of mine, but I can repeat it here. You kind of wait till the Drydown hits in. And then as the perfume is almost gone, You can bring it back to life by heating it up with your nose, like exhaling hot air from your nose, not from your mouth, from your nose, onto the spot where the perfume has been sprayed. So you do the, and as you're exhaling, immediately after that, inhale again. You're going to be shocked at how amazing the perfume is, because you're going to pop open the last molecules in the Drydown with the heat, and they're going to blossom. And then you inhale them, and you're going to get a whole other depth of the perfume, which is going to make you fall in love with it. And it is addictive too, so be careful. This is also how I sense out if a perfume has good ingredients used in it or not, because the cheap synthetic accords and perfumes that are using cheaper ingredients, when you do this exhale, inhale trick with the nostrils on a cheap fragrance, you're going to be disgusted, because it's just going to smell really very heavily chemical. There's not going to be elegant, expensive spices in there or anything. It's just going to, or resins or, you know, sandalwoods or whatever. It's just going to have chemicals, and it's going to be really, really bad. So, but if a perfume is good and you do that for the Drydown, and actually the perfume isn't ready for the Drydown yet, I just put it on, but if you kind of warm it up even relatively soon after spraying it on your skin, you're going to get, you're going to burn through the perfume, and you're going to get to that Drydown much sooner. That's also another trick of kind of evaluating a fragrance with a shorter time span. And it is, okay, the tobacco and the leather are very wet when you do the nostril thing on this. And and the rosewood comes a knocking. The sandalwood is more tame. Very fascinating how I feel like the current version of Bois d'Azil has more sandalwood. This is all about the sandalwood. Cosmetic type of sandalwood. It is delicious, right? And I feel like this one dries down to this expensive smelling divine sandalwood, while this one is giving me rosewood, cinnamon, leather, tobacco. So it is smoky and dusty and slightly dry as well in the Drydown, which is really good, because I really enjoy a warm fragrance, like sandalwood-based fragrance with cinnamon, but that has a dryness to it that becomes almost smoky. And the smokiness is something that I didn't really get in the older batches of Egoiste. And the current version is smokier, and I like that. Now, will this thing have huge projection and longevity? Probably not, you guys. My older bottles of Egoiste, I mean, the juice is like ambery orange, okay? This is like kind of transparent. Like you can imagine, this is very, I'm taking the thickest side of it now, and it's kind of, I'm looking at my control monitor to the side. It's a transparent color. Look at it. It's a slightly yellowish, right? But, listen, there also used to be a concentré version of Egoiste. For a short period of time, there was a concentrated version of the eau de toilette as well. Now we just have the eau de toilette. But, it's yellowish, but it ain't that deep yellow color like, let's say, number 22. This is a fresh batch. They're kind of similar, though. But number 22 has a ton of vanilla, so this one is going to turn orange with time. While this one is going to stay relatively pale as it gets older, it does not really darken too much in the bottle. But boy, is it beautiful. It's just lighter than it used to be. Now, I know a lot of people complain about that, and people say, I want my perfume to last longer. Why is Chanel cheaping out? Why are they are they cheaping out? Well, I'm not so sure about this one, because since they've limited their distribution quite a bit worldwide, it's not available everywhere. They're not really making big money off of this one. They keep this around for prestige. So if they did tone down certain concentrations of certain ingredients, it's probably to try to make this one more sellable, because they're scared that it might be a little bit too intense for certain people. So I think if they mellowed it a little bit, it's because they're trying to appeal to mass audiences more, not because they want to save money. That's just a hunch I have, because this is still a wonderful perfume. I think it's gorgeous, and actually now really easy to wear also in the hot weather and in summertime, because it is gentler, drier, more toned down, smokier. That smokiness gives you a vibe of being dry as well, which is really good. There's a rawness to it as well, which the predecessor did not have. There's kind of like a rougher edge to it. It's like the edges of the perfume are a little bit more raw and open and fuzzy, rather than being perfectly cut like a diamond, like the hexagonal shape of the, well, it's more than 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. The octagonal shape of the Place Vendôme stopper, which is the same cut shape for the Chanel No. 5 Parfum stopper of the splash bottle as well, right? So this, basically the bottle of Egoiste is the elongated version. Like if you pull upwards the stopper for Chanel No. 5 Parfum flacon, that's exactly what the bottle is of Egoiste. So it's giving me not this kind of smooth cut, diamond cut shape of the edges, but the smell is a little bit more edgy. It in a way. Now let me check the formula code. You know, it's not just the batch code. As we said, the batch code is 7902, but the formulation code is IL47 minus, I think I, or is that a 1? I think it's IL47 minus I. I'm going to have to compare this to the older box of Egoiste that I have from many years ago with the old bottle and see if it's the same code on that one. But as I said, this one was manufactured in 2022, so it's the current version. I'm sure they've already released the batch code 8. So there's even a fresher batch than this one, but this is kind of the freshest batch they had at the duty free. They only had 3 bottles, by the way. Everything else was stocked up. They had all the other perfumes, Egoiste, even Egoiste Platinum, they had a lot of them, but Egoiste, 3 bottles. I bought one, there was only 2 left, so they're not making this one as often as they are the other ones. Okay, so Jesus is commenting in the Patreon chats. It smells lighter because it's not 30 years old. So Jesus, I can debunk that right away, because I bought my bottles when they were new, and I have the exact memory of how they smelled. They were more concentrated back in the day. Not just that they were more concentrated, they were also formulated differently. So there was a slightly different balance of how much sandalwood you're going to put in there as opposed to carnation, for example, or cinnamon or clove or whatever. Now I feel like they're pushing more the tobacco and the leather accord. And they were not pushing that so much back in the... Listen, maybe the leather and the tobacco were present in the same amount back in the day, but the sandalwood was much higher and the rosewood was much higher. So maybe now they still have the same amount of tobacco and leather accord in it, but they've toned down the sandalwood maybe. Or, you know, because they can't do Maison sandalwood and they can't do sandalwood in general, maybe now the sandalwood they're using is a synthetic compound different from back in the day. So now the whole thing smells slightly different because they had to use a different type of extract from sandal. Maybe that's the issue happening here. But it has a hint of Chanel No. 5 going for it as well, you know? Just a slight reminiscence of it. It has become, interestingly, I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb with this one. And I'm going to tell you something right here. And I'm going to tell you something right now. And that is, Egoiste now smells more like a Chanel perfume than it used to smell back in the 90s. They've Chanelified it more, which is a great thing. I'm all for it. Now, let me do a thing. I'm going to layer Bois d'Azil on top of Egoiste. Just a light spritz because this thing is powerful. Take me to church. Oh my God, this is... Let me add some Egoiste on top of that. Ah. Y'all? Okay. Wow. Now listen, when you go to Chanel, they're trying to kind of sell you the Les Exclusives as layerable perfumes. I never do that really. I mean, there are some perfumes I like to layer just because it's a pleasant experience from time to time, but it's not something I do on a daily basis. I love to wear them as is. So, you know, they try to tell you can layer different Les Exclusives on top of each other, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, I'm not a Joe Malone here. This is not Joe Malone, honey. No. Anyway, but these two, complex, very, very dangerous smelling. And oh, this one, I'm going to really enjoy the combo of these two because the Drydown, I mean, this is going to take some time, but what Bois d'Azil did, it amped up the sandalwood in Egoiste. But Egoiste delivered all of its cinnamon, carnation accord, extra leather, and tobacco. So the tobacco is kind of, you know, more acidic, right? The sandalwood is not acidic. Sandalwood smells creamy. There's ylang ylang in there as well. It's a buttery, beautiful, soft sandalwood. Mixed with the more synthetic version, you know, that's included in a mass release product, technically mass release product for Chanel, which is Egoiste. And then you get this kind of like an Egoiste on steroids. It does tame Bois d'Azil because Bois d'Azil on its own sparkles, right? This one kind of pulls it down a little bit, but Bois d'Azil pulls Egoiste up a little bit, and they blend masterfully together. Really, really good. But it's no longer a crowd pleaser. When you mix these two together, you are more bombastic. You will be projecting. This thing now it's a projection beast. In the best of ways, though. Will I be wearing it in the combination of the two together always? No. Heck no. I'll be separating them because I like a tame version of Egoiste. I'm really enjoying this one. And I love my pure sandalwood and Bois d'Azil. So mixing the two, they kind of eliminate the best parts from each other, but they also help each other to fill out what they were lacking in. So they were lacking in certain aspects, and they help each other boost those lacking aspects, but they also obliterate the positive aspects. You know what I mean? So you want that pure sandalwood with ylang ylang and Bois d'Azil. You're not going to get it if you spray this on top, because the spices here are going to overtake that. It has become a smokier, leatherier fragrance. How does Chanel do that? Even though it's lighter than it used to be, it's smokier. So I would recommend it. If, however, you are looking for that projection beast, longevity beast, this is not your perfume. Not at its current formulation. Not right now. Not right now. You should go for something else. If you are a lover of a delicate, sophisticated, elegant Z accord, very Chanel smelling, slightly cold and detached, then this is for you, but you got to be prepared to reapply every 2 to 3 hours. Otherwise, find yourself another perfume. But I'm fine with a lighter formula for this one. I think it's really, really beautiful, even in its current state. Way to go, Olivier Polge. I don't know if you, Olivier, have been reformulating this little thing and tweaking it, or if your dad did the last reformulation. Well, either Jacques or Olivier, I think you did a great job with the current state of affairs with Egoiste, darling. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And what are the latest batches that you got? And until next time, never forget to never give up on love and subscribe.